say, new day will rise, life will go on, everyone cries, don't cry alone, darkness will fade, all the pain will go by, but you will stay, the love of my life. מים רבים לא יכבו את האהבה ונהרות לא ישטפו. New day will rise.
You know, Madam Speaker, when my parents immigrated to Canada in 1986, I was a year old. And the reason that they immigrated to Canada from Iran is because in 1979 there was an Islamic revolution, and our once free and democratic country was taken over by radical Islamists, was taken over by terrorists, and was taken over by fascists who actually executed over 40,000 communists in the late 80s. And so my parents escaped in 1986 because they wanted to live in a free and democratic society. And I was a year old at the time. And we were blessed to be able to come to Canada to escape that hatred, to escape that radical, fundamentalist, Islamo-fascist ideology. And that's the same regime, Madam Speaker, that denies the Holocaust. That's the same regime that spreads anti-Semitic information and propaganda, not just inside the Islamic regime of Iran, but around the world, and through its proxies, like Hamas and Hezbollah and others, what these hate rallies were about. This is a message from the Palestinian youth movement, one day after the horrific October 7th genocidal massacre of 1,400 innocent Jewish people. And it says, Toronto, all out for Palestine. Join us Monday, October 9th at 2 p.m. An unprecedented series of events has taken place by our heroic resistance in Gaza, with over 30 Zionist hostages captured, the fall of settlements surrounding Gaza, and the prison break that destroyed the fence that has been entrapping Gazans for over 17 years. The resistance's offensive attack has shaped a new precedent for our national liberation struggle, and we remain steadfast in our right to resist by any means necessary. We call on our people in the far diaspora in Toronto to uplift and honor our resistance and our martyrs. Join us this Monday, October 9, at 2 p.m. at Nathan Phillips Square and celebrate our steps closer to liberation. Shameful.
Shame.
Rally, celebration, whatever you want to call it, the pro-Hamas rally that supported the genocide. The member from Hamilton Centre marched in that. She can try to explain away her statement, she can try to say whatever it is she wants to say, but silence is louder than words. Even prior to this, when I had the unfortunate opportunity of having to hear her voice in this legislature again, she spread misinformation. She accused the State of Israel of bombing a hospital, even though it was debunked right away. It was the Palestinian Jihad organization, and Hamas was using it to spread propaganda to fuel more hate rallies around the world. She also failed to mention anything about the 1,400 innocent civilians. She failed to mention that the Hamas terrorists must release the hostages. You cannot negotiate with terrorists, Madam Speaker. You cannot. As someone who comes from a country that is ruled by Islamic regime terrorists, we know you cannot negotiate with them. They have no problem killing people. There's someone who's named Mossab Hasan Youssef, and I encourage everyone to look him up. Mossab Hasan Youssef is the son of a Hamas leader. He defected. He knows what happens on the inside, and he has some fascinating interviews. He's even wrote a book called Son of Hamas. And in that book, he writes, and in his interviews, he writes, Hamas does not care if you are Israeli or Palestinian, Arab, Jew, Bedouin. They do not care. They will execute everyone. They do not care about the people. They use Palestinians as human shields. And he said every few years, what the Palestinian Authority does, the Palestinian leadership, they will just create a war because they know what's going to happen is Israel will retaliate, and then the world will be outraged, and then they will get money through donations. That's what he says. This is someone who was born and raised in Hamas, and he defected. Madam Speaker, what does a Jewish-owned cafe in Toronto have to do with the conflict in Israel and Palestine? We are being faced with full-on hatred, full-on anti-Semitism. This is not 1933. This is 2023. And what's horrifying is that in 1933, Cafe Landwehr fled Berlin because of the anti-Semitism they were experiencing then, and now 90 years later they're experiencing it once again in Ontario, in Canada, and it is horrifying. And this is what the member from Hamilton Centre supports. This is exactly what she supports. We all, our hearts bleed for all of the innocent lives lost, including Palestinians. But if you cannot call out terrorism, if you cannot have the moral clarity to understand that the root cause of this is terrorism that's funded by the terrorist and illegitimate Islamic regime in Iran, if you are out there spreading a message of divisiveness instead of caring for people, then you should not be in this legislature. Thank you.
הוא נולד סמוך לרמאללה, לאב בכיר בחמאס, למשפחה חמאסניקית. מוסעב ינק שנאת ישראל לא רק בבית הוריו, אלא בסביבה שבה גדל. בשב"כ הצמידו לו את הכינוי הנסיך הירוק, נסיך בגלל שהוא בן של בכיר בחמאס, ירוק הוא הלא צבע החמאס.
Being killed is not the worst thing can happen to me. But if my soul is dead, if I feel the responsibility and I don't say a word of truth, I will die every day.
מוסעב עבר תהליך רגשי עמוק של הזדהות עם ישראל.
The biggest terrorist is the God of the Quran. I know this is very dangerous.
סיפורו בן החמאס הפך בן לילה לרב מחר עולמי, הנסיך הירוק נהיה מרואיין מבוקש מאוד.
Hamas is not interested in carrying an attack outside of Palestine. Their priority number one to destroy Israel.
בשלב מסוים, תחת מסע רדיפה, הוא עבר לארצות הברית, קיבל שם אזרחות, וירד מעט למדרון האחורי. קצת שקט. אבל אז הגיע טבח אוקטובר, ומוסעב לא הרשה לעצמו לשבת בשקט.
Israel considers what's happening in Gaza a tragedy. It's a tragedy made up by the terrorists that you sympathize with. You know who's fighting for the children of Gaza? The IDF. That is killing Hamas. That is uprooting Hamas so the children of Gaza can have their freedom.
מאז ביתר שאת ומאוים, חייו בסכנה מתמדת.
After October 7 happened, I had a choice to stay in my quiet place or come back into this mess. And I had no choice but actually to do this, because I call it Dharma, like the path of my life. And I knew Israel is going to get in trouble. Because the type of war Hamas invited Israel, and many countries began treating them as a legitimate organization representing the Palestinians. And this final war, Hamas doubled down, tripled down on their strategy of sacrificing civilians, weaponizing civilians, knowing that if Israel decides to invade Gaza in a ground operation, that is going to lead to only God knows how many civilian casualties. And
So they predicted the consequences of their invasion to Israel.
it was very obvious. Like you take an honorable man and they go into fight with a pig. Gaza in an iron fist. They like literally killed so many suspects for collaborating with Israel, and many of them maybe were even innocent people. So not everybody is willing to risk their life.
Like you did.
I'm not saying it was the only motive, and I'm not here sitting to pretend that I am the most moral person on earth. I had choices. They were very difficult choices.
Do you have regrets about the past?
Do I look regretful?
No.
Okay. Do you want me to say yes?
No,
They want
no.
me to say no.
I want you to say the truth, your truth.
I wouldn't change anything. Entity, I don't trust them.
הוא כועס מאוד על הקרע שבתוכנו. מהאויבים אין לו ציפיות, אבל על אלה שבינינו שמעזים להאשים את צה"ל, הוא רותח.
This is something I understand to hear it from the pro-Palestine in Europe, which mostly Muslims, influenced by Muslims. I understand their hatred. But when I see some people here in Israel, Jewish people, who know the nature of the IDF and how they do the job, accusing the soldiers who have been risking their lives to defend the nation, not only the government, not only the state of Israel, but the Jewish nation worldwide. This is what the IDF doing. Okay, you have your issues with the government. At least don't use such device. Like in a time of war, this appears to me more of a treason. This is a very serious accusation. It's not acceptable, helping the enemy. And these people need to wake up. It's a big war of legitimacy. The failure in Gaza will have deadly consequences because this is what Hamas wanted from the beginning. When they took the hostages, when they used their own children as human shields, knowing that it's going to delegitimize Israel. So why help them?
I am Palestine, and I say it's enough of Hamas. It's enough of the corrupt leaderships that they are killing our people, misleading them to hell. You never been to Gaza, you don't know what you're talking about, so sit down.
הוא חושף את עצמו באין ספור ראיונות, מתגושש בעוצמה עם המראיינים, מראיינים שאין להם מושג ירוק מיהו החמאס.
She's been there only for a visit, and maybe she had some falafel sandwich, you know, and she really was blown away of the Palestinian experience. There is no such a thing as Palestine.
אבל יש להם צופים, ובכך הופך את עצמו למטרה לחיסול חלילה.
Since October 7, I personally don't differentiate between Hamas and what's so-called Palestinians. Because actually there is no Palestinians. If they did not have Israel as the common enemy, they would kill each other.
What is the alternative? To put a big smile on my face and pretend like nothing is happening while the hostages are dying slowly? You know, look at me. I'm not that far also. I'm just skin on bone as well. You have to live it. You have to be with them in order to represent them correctly. And I'm not the savior of the Jews. I don't pose as that. I never thought I would become famous in Israel. 10 years I was working in secret. Nobody knew about my existence. Revealing my existence, I put a death sentence over my head. Now I cannot walk freely in the United States anywhere without being chased by fanatics and pro-Palestine terrorists. Europe is not safe. Even recently, I was in Southeast Asia, and Southeast Asia also is not safe. Wherever I go, people recognize my face. And I know it's just a matter of time before they're going to get me. And I have no regrets. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of dying. Everybody is going to die eventually. But we have lots of work to do first. If there is anything that I worry about in this war, I know that we can defeat Hamas, and I know that we can change the narrative, and that we can change it to our favor. It's just a matter of time, but we need unity. Hamas is counting on division. The all anti-Semites and the all anti-Israel, they are counting on the collapse of the government. I'm not a big fan of politicians. It's not the time to change governments. It's not the time to let the government collapse, because this is a clear message that we have failed and Hamas is succeeding. It's not their business to interfere with the Israeli democratic process. People have the right to protest, then they have the right to go to elections, and early elections if this is the only solution. But I don't recommend that. And I'm not advocating on his behalf, just so you know. I'm just speaking as an independent observer from the outside.
Multiple crimes against humanity done simultaneously by the same savage group, and we're still debating whether they are okay or not okay.
מבחינתו, גם אם זה יעלה לו בחייו, יש לו משימה חשובה, לאחד אותנו, לצמרר.
I personally choose Israel because if the savages win, all of us are going to pay the price.
ומנתח את המצב הבלתי אפשרי שאליו נקלענו.
I don't know what's the alternative. The government does not have leverage, but the applying force and pressure on Hamas. The only option is to release thousands of mass murderers and prolong the war for much longer than it's supposed to be, so Hamas can buy more time and the world can apply more pressure. You see, they have been recognizing the Palestinian state. They put in sanctions on the state of Israel. Many democracies are submitting the Muslim population in their countries, trying to please the Muslims at the expense of the Jewish minority by doing the wrong thing, by rewarding terrorism and condemning Israel. To surrender, it will have deadly consequences on Israel, and not only on Israel, on the Jewish people worldwide. But if we continue this fight for as long as it's going to take, then all the terrorists and their sympathizers will know that Israel will never surrender to the demand of terrorists. So if we can apply a little bit more pressure and have a deal that includes all the hostages, then I am with that. I think it's the most realistic. But the problem, Hamas staying in power. This is a big problem because this means all our effort in Gaza went in vain. So we cannot win this war without guaranteeing that Hamas is going.
שוגה באשליות. מכיר אותם היטב, אמרנו. מבחינתו, לישראל וליהדות העולם יש ברירה אחת בלבד. ופה חייבים להבין זאת.
If Hamas proves itself to the rest of the jihadis around the world that their method worked, it's going to be the end of civilization. Instead of protesting against the government, why don't we protest against France that is recognizing a Palestinian state, rewarding terrorists? Why aren't we protesting against other embassies, but also the victory of the Jewish people on a global level? Defeat will have deadly consequences on the Jewish people worldwide. This is my biggest concern at this moment. And defeat could happen only if we continue to be divided.
Thank you.
The first 18 years of my life I spent in Lebanon, and I hated the Israelis and the Jews. My parents were Sunni and Shia, but we were secular. We attended a French Catholic school. So religion in my circle was irrelevant. But in spite of that, we hated the neighbors in the south because we always went to wars with them. The Israeli narrative is omitted from our existence. My perception of the Jews was constructed by Hassan Nasrallah. My entire life, all I know about Israel, it is his story, it's his version. Nobody tells you we killed a few Israelis and that's why we are at war. And slowly I learned the history of the Jews, of Israel, and I grew fond of it. Are you outraged with the war in Gaza? So am I. My name is Rawan Osman. I'm half Syrian, half Lebanese. Since October 7th, I visited Israel 9 times, and I want to testify before God and you, Israel is not the problem. Last week, Israel buried Shiri Bibas with her children Ariel and Kfir. Hamas said they had been arrested. Forensic reports show they were choked to death in Gaza. But many who point fingers at Israel might do better to look in the mirror. I asked Qatar, why didn't you arrest the Hamas chiefs in Doha and demand release of the hostages? Why did you finance terror? And I ask Iran, why do you send billions to Hamas and Hezbollah instead of liberating your own people who are suffering oppression and poverty? Egypt, you charged Gazans thousands of dollars to escape the war. How can you lecture about the morality of displacing Gazans? Jordan, why have you refused to accept any Gazans? Are they not your own people? Lebanon, instead of discussing Hezbollah's political role, ban the party. Syria, if the new president is sincere about his transformation, I ask him to return the body of Eli Cohen. It's been 6 decades. Allow his wife to bury him before she dies. Hamas abuses dead bodies. Be a better Arab. Be a better Muslim. Thank you.
This battle, conflict, this war is not a war of feelings. I don't know how the rest of the world sees it, but it's a conflict for existence. The problem that Palestine has, the Palestinians have with Israel, is not about borders. It's about existence. This we need to realize. If Israel was a Christian state, if it was a communist state, if it was any other state other than a Jewish state, this hatred would not be the way it is. It is the way it is because it's a Jewish state. It's not about feelings, it's about facts, my brother. These people, you have two sides. You have the Palestinians who want to kill the Jews, and you have the Jews, the Israelis, who will not allow them to annihilate their country and to annihilate their nation. One side wants to kill, the other side will not allow them to kill their children. It's as simple as that. So it's not about feelings. It's about what the texts say. It's about their summer camps. It's about the amount of funding they give to the martyrs' families for going stabbing people.
Is the chapter of jihad, so nobody says we're making things up. Chapter of jihad. We will open the chapter of jihad that is present in all of our mosques. That I wish that I could be killed for the sake of Allah, then brought back to life, then killed, then brought back to life, then killed, then brought back to life, then killed once again, and then you go become a martyr and you go and you get your 72 virgins. And this is not something that we are just reading. This is not a magazine. This is Sahih al-Bukhari. The authentic. Sahih means authentic. After intense filtration for 1,200 years, this is what we have now come with to form the religion of Islam. So when you see its non-stop attacks towards the West, you know why. Because they themselves wish to die, come back to life, to die again, come back to life, and die and come and non-stop. This love for death that they have, I don't know where it comes from. Do you know where it comes from? It comes from this book.
We have to hate the places of worship where they are committing shirk with Allah. Which times of the year do we have to hate?
Christmas.
Likes of Christmas.
Mawlid.
The likes of Mawlid and Nabawi. Because it's an innovation in the religion. We have to hate it, not because it makes us feel good, not because we say we're better than them, because it is hated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise Valentine's Day, likewise birthdays, likewise Christmas, likewise Easter, likewise Diwali, likewise Hanukkah, likewise all of these other different festivals where the people increase in their sin, in their transgression, in their shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's not a personal hatred. We hate it because Allah hates that thing.
You hate me for the sake of Allah. I hate you for the sake of Allah. Alright. I hate you for the sake of Allah. Every Christian, I hate you all for the sake of Allah. Any Jew, any Christian, I hate you all for the sake of Allah. He hates me for the sake of Allah. You hate me. And the other. Would you kill me if you get a chance? If we're what? I would chop your head off.
When you wonder what is the root for terrorism, this book. This here. When the Muslim is taught that your Prophet wishes to die and come back to life once again, just in order to die again, you can't blame the 15-year-old and the 17-year-old and the 22-year-old to want to go and blow themselves up. You cannot blame them. This is in the book, and this book